Well, guys, where do I even begin with the so-called debate that actually happened last night? Now, me and Rhodes are actually live here on this channel covering the debate. And folks, this thing quickly turned into a 3-on-1, as in Kamala Harris, David Muir, and what's her name? Lindsay Davis, I think. I mean, this was very, very unfair. I mean, the moderators were not being moderators. They were actually trying to fact check Trump in real time, but yet they let Kamala Harris spew all type of lies. Folks, we do not have an honest media. Now, I knew, man, that ABC would not be fair. Now, when it came to the CNN debate, they were really, really fair for the most part. They were fair because they were in on getting Joe Biden out of there. You see what happens, folks, when we actually have a fair media? The Democrats really, really do get exposed. That CNN debate was a disaster for Democrats and Joe Biden. It was so bad that they staged a coup to get Joe Biden out of there. I mean, the man didn't last but what? Another week or so? And that was it. And in the coup, they put up Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris poll numbers, man, before she actually stepped in for Joe Biden, was in the tank, in the trash. But the media propped her up, started giving her all this glowing coverage, folks. Like 90% of the media coverage of Kamala Harris was positive. 90% of the media coverage of Trump was negative. We don't have a fair media. If the media was fair, then President Trump would actually win in a wipeout. But the media is not fair. Watching that debate, folks, it was a joke. It was a complete joke. Kamala Harris really didn't answer any questions, and the way the questions were framed to Kamala Harris versus President Trump, quite different. Very different. Now, I thought President Trump was good. Yeah, he missed some opportunities too, but man, he was really gained upon. I mean, this was like a tag team match where all three of the wrestlers went in the ring at the same time versus the other opponent. Now, folks, I thought that Chris Wallace actually, before this debate anyway, gave the worst debate moderating in presidential history. Last night was worse, guys. It was worse. Now, of course, you know, you can have your opinion on who actually won the debate. Overall, guys, I don't think it really moved the needle whatsoever. But I will say this. Kamala Harris, after the debate, immediately said, hey, let's do it again. Now, I'm thinking to myself, all right, if you actually won this debate, why are you immediately saying, hey, let's do it again? It just tells me, man, that she is way further down in the polls than what the media wants to tell you. Because the media, man, the media is just glowing over her debate performance, man. I mean, the expectations were so low. I mean, all she had to do was really just be better than Biden. And she was. Didn't take much. She lied a lot. It didn't take much, guys. It really did not take much to be better than Joe Biden. Let's just be real, man. I mean, did she actually give some word salad? I don't think that she did. She performed better than expected. But there was really no expectations for her, guys. None. None whatsoever. But we must actually get into this debate, man. I'm going to be all over the place, man, on this. Got so much to cover. I don't know how long this video is going to be. It may be 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. I have no idea, okay? I'm not a professional. I'm just giving you my overall take on that so-called debate. Because I can honestly say, man, it really was not a debate. It was a gang up, guys. A gang up. And I was also looking at social media to see what were people saying. Were people actually thinking the same thing that I was saying? And they weren't. They weren't. Now, one thing that I heard before we actually dive into it, on the first question, I believe the first question was actually about the economy. And David Muir actually said this. I should have actually, when we were live, said, wait a minute, did I hear that correctly? But I didn't. I did hear it correctly. David Muir said when talking to Kamala Harris, when you and President Trump were elected in 2020, he made a mistake. He meant to say Beijing Biden. Now, if I'm President Trump, man, I probably would have jumped all over that. Maybe President Trump didn't actually hear it, but he did mess that up, guys. But anyway, let's get into this, guys. Over here on the post-millennial, ABC moderators interrupt. I don't know why I said interrupt Trump multiple times with fact checks while allowing Kamala to spread multiple hoaxes. Yeah, they were actually doing that, guys. I mean, one thing I also noticed, guys, is that the microphones are supposed to be muted when it's not your turn to talk. Now, I noticed when President Trump was actually trying to give a rebuttal, when the moderators were actually trying to move on to another topic, his microphone was muted lower. Because Kamala Harris actually tried to interrupt President Trump several times. And he actually got the I'm speaking moment. So I thought that was good. But Kamala Harris's mic was muted, but it wasn't muted that much. I don't know if you guys noticed that or not, but I did. But the moderators, when they got done with a topic and President Trump had the last word, they were telling him, there's no proof of this. Like they said, crime is down now. That's wrong what you said. I can't remember the exact words that he said, but he was doing stuff like that. And then he would jump over to another topic. So they were fact checking President Trump, and they were wrong, by the way. They were wrong a lot. The moderators was just flat out wrong. And even about the illegal aliens over there in Ohio actually eating pets. They really tried to fact check him on that. Said, oh, there's no evidence of that. We got a video, guys. We got a video. It's disturbing. We're going to go over it, folks. We're going to go over it, man. If there is another debate, President Trump should actually demand that it be on Fox News or Newsmax. Honestly, I prefer Newsmax. I do. But I'll take Fox News, man. Because it's clear, man, if he goes on CNN, it's going to be the same as ABC. If he goes on NBC, it's going to be the same thing. It's going to be on a 3-on-1 attack. It will not be fair. This, my friends, was not fair. So let's go ahead and look at some of this here, guys, because they actually allowed Kamala Harris, did not fact check her on this, guys. This has been debunked forever. She repeated the Charlottesville hoax, man. I was watching that and she was kind of leading up to it. And I was like, is she actually about to say, is she about to say this? This has been debunked time and time again. But ABC said, nah, we're Democrat Party propagandists. We're going to allow her to actually say this. Listen in, guys.
Let's remember Charlottesville, where there was a mob of people carrying tiki torches, spewing anti-Semitic hate. And what did the president then at the time say? There were fine people on each side.
Wow. Wow. That was debunked also by Snopes, like, a few months ago as well. President Trump did not call, and she was actually referring to neo-Nazis. Trump did not call neo-Nazis very fine people. But ABC said, nah, we're gonna let her get away with that. We're not going to, she never got fact checked one time. Not one time. She also repeated the bloodbath hoax. Because the left, man, was saying that, oh, man, if Donald Trump doesn't get elected, man, he's going to cause violence. He said bloodbath when he was actually talking about the automobile industry. He was talking about that's going to be a bloodbath. It's an economic bloodbath. And these people know it, man. ABC knows it. But they let her get away with this. They let her get away with this. Listen in.
And to end the approach that is about attacking the foundations of our democracy because you don't like the outcome. And be clear on that point. Donald Trump, the candidate, has said in this election there will be a bloodbath if this and the outcome of this election is not to his liking. Let's turn the page on this. Let's not go back. Let's chart a course for the future and not go backwards to the past.
Let me just follow up here.
It was a different term, and it was a term that related to energy because they have destroyed our energy business. That was where bloodbath was. Also, on Charlottesville, that story has been, as you would say, debunked.
Yeah. So President Trump had to do the fact checking. Not ABC. Oh, no. They were not going to fact check Comrade Kamala. They just were not going to do it. It is completely insane, man, that the media is just so dishonest. It's crazy because actually we got the video clip here of President Trump talking about the bloodbath. And he's talking about, you know, the automobile industry.
China now is building a couple of massive plants where they're going to build the cars in Mexico and they think that they're going to sell those cars into the United States with no tax at the border. Let me tell you something to China. If you're listening, President Xi, and you and I are friends, but he understands the way I deal, those big monster car manufacturing plants that you're building in Mexico right now, and you think you're going to get that, you're going to not hire Americans, and you're going to sell the cars to us. No, we're going to put a 100% tariff on every single car that comes across the line, and you're not going to be able to sell those cars. If I get elected, now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole, that's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That'll be the least of it. But they're not going to sell those cars. They're building massive factories. A friend of mine, all he does is build car manufacturing plants. He's the biggest in the world. I mean, honestly, I joke about it. He can't walk across the street. In that way, he's like Biden. But for building a plant, he can do the greatest plants in the world, right? That's all he cares about. I said, I'd like to see one of your plants recently. I said, I'd like to see, where can we go? Well, we have to travel to Mexico. I said, why Mexico? He said, because that's where the big plants are building. China's building really big plants in Mexico, and Mexico's building. What about here? Well, we're building much smaller plants here. Can you believe it?
Yeah, so you heard that right there. Clearly talking about an economic bloodbath. They know that, man, but they're depending on, you know, people that aren't very educated to think he's talking about violence. It is really, really insane. It is completely insane. And I'm glad that I saw this right here too, man. Saw this right here. They actually were talking about abortion. And we know that abortion is not a federal issue. And Kamala Harris also talking about, hey, I'm going to codify Roe versus Wade if I actually get into the White House. Not going to happen. And Trump also mentioned that the way that the Congress and is split, there's no way that it's actually going to be codified. This is a state's issue. And Trump actually brought up a pretty good point that even in some red states, when it comes to abortion, people are voting on it. And in some of these red states, they're actually voting to the left on abortion, and it's legalized. So he did a good job on that right there. But also he brought up, you know, that some states actually wanted to have, quote unquote, abortion after birth. And he brought up the old governor of West Virginia. Folks, they were within one vote of actually allowing murder of babies after they were born. But oh no, ABC, no evidence, right? No evidence. But listening to this right here, man. Look at this here. Got this right over here. Hodge twins. Trump is right. Virginia's governor endorsed post-birth abortion. Listen into this, man.
No exception. There was a very contentious committee hearing yesterday when Fairfax County Delegate Kathy Tran made her case for lifting restrictions on third trimester abortions, as well as other restrictions now in place. And she was pressed by a Republican delegate about whether her bill would permit an abortion even as a woman is essentially dilating, ready to give birth. And she answered that it would permit an abortion at that stage of labor. Do you support her measure and explain her answer?
Yeah, and I wasn't there, Julie, and I certainly can't speak for Delegate Tran, but I would tell you first thing I would say is this is why decisions such as this should be made by providers, physicians, and the mothers and fathers that are involved. There are, when we talk about third trimester abortions, these are done with the consent of obviously the mother, with the consent of the physicians, more than one physician, by the way. And it's done in cases where there may be severe deformities, there may be a fetus that's non-viable. So in this particular example, if a mother is in labor, I can tell you exactly what would happen. The infant would be delivered. The infant would be kept comfortable. The infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and the family desired. And then a discussion would ensue between the physicians and the mother. So I think this was really blown out of proportion. But again, we want the government not to be involved in these types of decisions. We want the decision to be made by the mothers and their providers. And this is why, Julie, that legislators, most of whom are men, by the way, shouldn't be telling a woman what she should and shouldn't be doing with her body.
And do you think multiple physicians should have to weigh in, as is currently required? She's trying to lift that requirement.
Well, I think it's always good to get a second opinion and for at least two providers to be involved in that decision, because these decisions shouldn't be taken lightly. And so, I would certainly support more than one provider.
All right, let's go back to the phones.
Wow. You heard that right there, guys. You heard that right there. That is the former Virginia governor, West Virginia governor, I believe. And Trump was right, man. Virginia's governor, not West Virginia. Virginia. Unbelievable, man. Slaughtered a baby after the baby was born. Yeah. Charlie Kirk here puts so the moderators get the late-term abortion fact check completely wrong. Yeah. But don't fact check Kamala Harris on brazenly lying about the very fine people hoax that's been debunked. Absolute disgrace. Look here. ABC is lying again. 8 states don't have any restrictions on abortion. And this is actually a map right here. And this is as of May 31st, 2024. Right there. And I don't know if it actually lists the states off here. Let's see here. So, no defined limit. Yeah, 8 states right here. Color coordinated. And I'm just looking at it. Oregon, Colorado, New Mexico. We're looking at Minnesota right there. Are they talking about Washington, D.C. right there? Can't really tell right there as well. Looks like Delaware. Yeah. No restrictions whatsoever. None. They brought up January 6th too as well. I'm glad that President Trump also called out Nancy Pelosi, because she's on camera admitting that it was her fault. Trump actually wanted the National Guard called in, and Nancy Pelosi on camera saying, I take responsibility. Yes, she did. I don't even know why January 6th actually even came up. Abortion either. I mean, on the real issues, man, they really weren't trying to focus on a whole lot of the real issues. Now, I like how President Trump pretty much tied in, the border and the failed economic policies, like on every topic almost, because that's the way he had to do it, because I'm pretty sure he knew that the moderators were going to be all in to actually protect Kamala Harris. Yeah. So what is this one right here? Says here at the end of the debate, Trump brought up the key question no one has been able to answer, which is, if she has all these great ways to fix the economy and curb illegal immigration, why hasn't she done it already? I believe this is actually the closing statement right here. Yeah. And this is actually a pretty solid right here. And of course, on closing statements, you can't give any rebuttals. So let's check this out.
So she just started by saying she's going to do this, she's going to do that, she's going to do all these wonderful things. Why hasn't she done it? She's been there for 3.5 years. They've had 3.5 years to fix the border. They've had 3.5 years to create jobs and all the things we talked about. Why hasn't she done it? She should leave right now, go down to that beautiful White House, go to the Capitol, get everyone together and do the things you want to do, but you haven't done it and you won't do it because you believe in things that the American people don't believe in. You believe in things like, we're not going to frack. We're not going to take fossil fuel. We're not going to do things that are going to make this country strong, whether you like it or not. Germany tried that, and within 1 year.
And by the way, now that President Trump brought this up here, on fracking, they didn't fact check her either. They allowed her to lie and say that in 2020, she changed her position on fracking. No, that was Joe Biden who said that he wouldn't ban fracking. And Kamala Harris is trying to say, oh, I said that. No fact check whatsoever from ABC. Fake news.
Here they were back to building normal energy plants. We're not ready for it. We can't sacrifice our country for the sake of bad vision. But I just ask one simple question. Why didn't she do it? We're a failing nation. We're a nation that's in serious decline. We're being laughed at all over the world. All over the world, they're laughed. I know the leaders very well. They're coming to see me. They call me. We're laughed at all over the world. They don't understand what happened to us as a nation. We're not a leader. We don't have any idea what's going on. We have wars going on in the Middle East. We have wars going on with Russia and Ukraine. We're going to end up in a third world war, and it'll be a war like no other because of nuclear weapons, the power of weaponry. I rebuilt our entire military. She gave a lot of it away to the Taliban. She gave it to Afghanistan. What these people have done to our country, and maybe toughest of all, is allowing millions of people to come into our country. Many of them are criminals, and they're destroying our country. The worst president, the worst vice president in the history of our country.
Yeah. And Afghanistan was actually brought up. And if the media was really fair, they would actually ask Kamala Harris, why is it that you actually left Americans behind? They didn't ask that. They did not ask that whatsoever. And by the way, like I mentioned earlier, I did want to cover the illegal aliens in Ohio, the Haitians eating pets. ABC says, nah, President Trump, there's no verifiable evidence of that. But the people in Ohio are saying this. Now look at this, guys. Right over here. Right here, guys. I put out on X, Trump was right. The illegals are eating pets. This is police body cam footage, folks. This is an illegal alien right here. Right down there, I believe, with a cat. You're not going to be able to see the cat. Watch this.
What did you do? Why'd you kill the cat? Smile for me. Smile with your teeth. Go like this. Did you eat that cat? Did you eat it? No, why'd you kill it? Did you guys see all this?
No, we pulled up and she was just laying there with him.
Did you see her eating it? She was eating it?
Yeah, she was.
You call the Humane Society to see if they'll come pick this cat up. It's deceased.
Yeah.
What?
So right there, man, the neighbors actually there and said that this illegal alien was eating the cat. Eating a cat. But to ABC fake news, hey, there's no evidence of that. There is no evidence of that. We must lie. We must protect Kamala Harris. This was not a debate, guys. This was a gang up. A gang up. All the lefties, man, on social media saying, oh, Kamala Harris won. I believe also, guys, the ABC actually gave her the questions ahead of time. Because if you actually paid attention to her, she definitely sounded like everything was scripted. Now, they weren't supposed to actually know the questions ahead of time, but it definitely sounded like Kamala Harris was coming off as scripted. I think that she actually got the questions ahead of time. Wouldn't shock me. Can I prove it? No, I can't prove it, but that's just my opinion. This whole thing, a disaster, man. A complete disaster. This thing was completely rigged in favor of Kamala Harris. No pushback whatsoever. No, guys, no pushback at all. A complete joke. ABC should be ashamed of themselves. They should really, really be ashamed of themselves. Even though she's actually called, for a second debate, I don't know if it's going to happen or not. But I will say this, man. If Donald Trump doesn't want to do another debate, I wouldn't blame him. Okay? Because he already proposed 2 other debates. One of them on a left stream media site. I believe NBC. In addition to Fox News. We know that Kamala Harris does not want to go on Fox News. She doesn't. I believe now, folks, Kamala Harris is going to run back into the basement. She's not going to give any interviews whatsoever. None. Because now the media is praising her for this one debate. But I still believe, guys, she's not going to move the needle in the polls. I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, maybe she'll get a little bit of a inflated boost from the media, just like when she became the nominee. All the media was glowing over her, and now she's been crashing down. Same thing could actually happen again. She may get a little bit of a sugar high for maybe a week, maybe. And then she's going to come crashing right down to earth, man. Yeah. But ABC, man, this is pretty much, I guess, what we expected. Definitely not fair whatsoever. How in the world can you actually fact check President Trump and get everything wrong, by the way, and you don't fact check Kamala Harris and her lies? I mean, some of these things are just so blatant, man. Some of these things have been debunked so hard. They let her get away with it, folks. We are in a world of trouble, folks, if Kamala Harris is allowed to get into the White House. Your suffering is going to get worse. It's going to get worse, man. Because this was definitely not a fair debate. These moderators should be ashamed of themselves. Absolutely ashamed of themselves. I wanted to vomit, guys. It was such a joke. The Charlottesville thing, man, that really just made people say, man, if there's one thing that's really, really been debunked, it's Charlottesville. I mean, Joe Biden also lied about that in his debate. And really no pushback from the media. So I guess Kamala Harris said, you know what? I'm going to do the same thing. Let me start another lie. There's going to be no fact checks on Kamala Harris whatsoever. None. None. Absolutely disgusting, man. I probably wouldn't debate again. Unless I'm actually allowed to dictate what network. The left, man, has been getting their way, man, with debates. President Trump hasn't really gotten his way when it comes to debates. Ridiculous, man. But that's just my thoughts on this. What do you guys think of this? Black and White Network fans, Let us know what you think about all this in the comments. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. And we'll catch you next time.